Welcome back, viewers, and you are still tuned into Prime Live. We are so delighted to welcome back Shamshudeen Moola, who is the founder of Hope for You Foundation. He's no stranger to the INX screens, and this incredible organization is dedicated to providing vital support to some of the most vulnerable communities in Syria, Gaza, and their efforts continue all year round, not just during the month of Ramadan. Shamshudeen is joining us this evening to be able to share in on the foundation's mission, as well as some of the challenges they face and how we can get involved in making a difference. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you so much for joining us once again on Prime Live.
Walaikum salam. Thank you, Sister Nazia, and to INX TV for hosting us.
It's wonderful to welcome you back onto the show. I mean, the last time we spoke, you had a lot to share with us in terms of some of the wonderful initiatives that Hope for You Foundation is part of, as well as sharing in on your trips to Syria. But thank you for joining us once again. Just to start off our conversation this evening, Hope for You Foundation, we know, is an incredible organization, and you guys are able to make an impact all across the world, and you're able to make such a wonderful impact in the world. What I also want to talk to you about this evening is what the foundation hopes for, or rather what they hope to work towards, is to rejuvenate the spirit amongst brothers in South Africa as well as on a global basis. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, walaikum salam, Sister Nazia. We'd like to just paint a picture of the organization and currently where we're at and what has happened over the last few months within the foundation. And I hear the question that's been posed. It's a multifaceted question which needs a bit of understanding as to how the foundation has moved and what we've done over the last, call it 16 to 18 months within the Gaza space. Also what we've done locally within the South African market and the local space in South Africa. So just to kick off, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, I would like to say that if I paint a picture and they say a picture paints 1,000 words, but if I paint a picture in mere form, is to make people understand the severity of where we are currently as a humanitarian aid functional body. We note that in Gaza and in Syria, and I use both of these countries because in October we were in Syria, and we noted in October there were just over 270,000 Palestinians who migrated out of, obviously, Palestine and into Syria, and they were completely left alone. It was very, very heartsore to note what we've seen as a group of people that went across to this country. The people of Syria, as well as the people of Gaza, if you put this in words, have lost their lives, have lost families, have lost dignity, have lost homes, and they've lost a society to grow and coexist. And we, over the past 16 to 18 months, as a foundation, alhamdulillah, confidently, through all our social media, through all our links, to all our supporters, can confidently tell you we've actually managed to do close on 19 outreaches into those countries, providing aid into those countries continuously after the month of Ramadan, throughout the last 16 months, month on month, activity over activity. And it's close to say that we currently have in one of the cities in Gaza called Dar al-Bala, as well as in Khan Yunis, we have what we called ovens, homemade ovens, man-made ovens, where we produce up to 5,000, call it roti or bread, if you would like to call it that. We do that on a 5,000 a day, and we've had uninterrupted service for 42 days, meaning we've managed to do close on 200,000 loaves or roti, if you call it, to the families. And the foundation, alhamdulillah, very confidently can tell you we've touched over 88,000 lives in the last 18 months, if you look at 18 months. And those 88,000 lives have had some effect on most of the people. So fortunately enough, alhamdulillah, that's where the foundation is currently. And if you look at Gaza per se, close on 55,000 people have lost their lives. Statistics indicate that 70% of them are women. And further statistics indicate that 30% of that are kids under the age of 1 year old. So if people can just try and put that into a perspective, will make them understand what severity it is out there in Gaza, alhamdulillah.
I mean, I really want to say mashallah and congratulations to you and your team for the incredible impact that you've been able to have in Gaza, as well as assisting Palestinians who are refugees in Syria at the moment. It's incredible. I mean, you've shared some really alarming statistics, but along with that, you've also shared some very encouraging statistics of the impact and aid that Hope for You Foundation was also able to provide to these people as well. But we know the month of Ramadan is coming up, and it is, of course, the month of giving. Now, can you tell us about some of the Ramadan initiatives that our viewers at home can contribute towards and be part of?
We're embarking, inshallah, mid-Ramadan into the valleys of Masjid al-Aqsa first, because there's a lot of, in the cities of Hebron and Bethlehem, where we find there's a lot of displaced Palestinians in the local areas of Palestine. And from our visits last year, we learned that there's a lot of need in those areas. And inshallah, we're having a volunteer close to 8 or 9 people joining us, including youngsters for the first time on their journey, fully self-funded, fully paid themselves. It's great to see these youngsters, dig deep into their own pockets and share their time to go out and make this khidmat. And, we implore them, I implore them, and I implore many more people to join us on these ventures where we go out and make a difference in people's lives. So the first avenue of our travel would be into Aqsa, and then we get into Syria, obviously for 2 days, and do the distribution out there. The aim is to touch on from what we understand, the camps are anything between 12 and 25,000 people. We're not sure as to whether we'll touch all those lives, but we are sure that we'll make an impression in some of those lives by collecting monies from our viewers in terms of zakat, in terms of lillah, in terms of corporate donations. We also would like to put on record that we are an NPO with a Section 18A for local projects. We have a lot of projects locally as well. So for people who would like to participate, we have close to 400 to 500 orphans, which we are looking after for the month of Ramadan. We're also looking at some of the communities, both in Mitchell's Plain, as well as in Komashu, as well as in Lenasia South. There's been people. We've been inundated with the amount of local support that's been required. And to support the local establishments and people in South Africa, we are definitely going on a huge drive. We're looking at the hamper cost of plus minus 500 Rand. Yes, you can get hampers much cheaper, but I think it's important for us to give quality and the quantity to the prospective people. And that will actually give them some hope, as opposed to just giving a measly 125 Rand, hamper. And we've seen this happen. We've seen people respectfully, do things which we were not very comfortable. We have to give with dignity. You have to treat people with this dignity. So it's not as if we're doing them a favor. We work with a lot of compassion when we do our distributions. We ensure that we don't embarrass or hurt people or upset them, even though they are in a very, very bad position. It is our job to actually give them some hope. And inshallah, through our efforts of humility with the teams, with the counseling of some ulama behind us, we make reference to the fact that we are only doing khidmat to the communities. We are not encouraging any sort of unnecessary claim to fame. It is purely about making the khidmat to the communities. We also then look into the Gaza stream, where unfortunately the cost of these hampers or these boxes of hope, we call them boxes of hope, are close on to 1,200 Rand. So if you equate that to the US dollar, it's close on $50 to $65. That includes us packaging, buying the product, putting into boxes, getting it from Syria into Gaza all ourselves. Into Syria all ourselves, and then making the distribution possible to all those people, kids, orphans, widows, into those countries. So we are appealing. Alhamdulillah, all we can do is appeal. We thank INX for giving us this platform, but all we can do is appeal to the heartstrings of the heart, as they would say, to dig deep. We have some communities, some ladies that actually give me up to 50 Rand a month. And they actually cry with tears to say, Uncle Shams or Shamshudeen, this is all we can afford. And I say to them, it's not about the quantity or the value of you giving me. It's about the fact that you've made an effort to make a difference in a person's life. And that's what we're actually chasing at the moment. So, from 1 Rand to whatever the monies you might want to distribute from zakat to lillah to sadaqah to sawab jariyah, we are doing all sorts of collections for international. And alhamdulillah, for local, we're doing the same. And whereas for those who require the Section 18, we have most definitely can assist you with that Section 18, inshallah.
And thank you for also sharing all the different initiatives, the incredible initiatives that are going on and are ongoing. And like you said, your initiatives and your projects are ongoing throughout the year, not just in the month of Ramadan. And of course, to our viewers at home, this is of course an appeal and a call to action for our viewers at home to also participate and make the work that you do possible as well. So I know you are embarking on a trip to Palestine as well as an Umrah trip with a group of very dedicated people who are going to assist the people in Palestine. But talk to us a bit more before we let you go. Share with us the details and information regarding how our viewers at home can support the incredible work that is ongoing with Hope for You Foundation.
So if I paint a picture to you and to the viewers, and if I put it in context and in perspective, we go down to say that a picture paints 1,000 words. I'm sure in our school, in our lives, we've heard this many times before. And if I put that in perspective, and if I tell you the people of Palestine, of Palestine, Syria, and Gaza have lost lives, have lost dignity, have lost families, have lost homes, they've lost society to grow and coexist. And we have lost over the last 20 on this catastrophe and genocide, we've lost 20 to 30 years. In other words, we've gone backwards 20 to 30 years, which is a huge problem in the communities we are serving in Gaza and Syria. And it covers through the whole of Aleppo, it goes through Halab, it goes through Idrim, it goes to Bodrum. So we cover a lot of areas in those countries. And as mentioned, over the last 18 months, we've covered just over managed to do those 19 outreaches, which touched the lives of close to 88,000 people in those areas, from children to orphans to widows, through to people, young men and disabled people and elderly. So we've really had an indelible impact in the lives of those people. And alhamdulillah, it's through no success comes from us. It's all done through Almighty's will and through the efforts of the brothers we work with in those countries, who tirelessly, together with us, make every single day an effort to make some positive progress in those areas. And we can currently say, there's been close to 50,000 lives that have been lost in those countries. And Sister Nazia, it's very important to understand how many kids have lost their lives. They're saying close to 70% of the 50% is women and children. And from there, another 30% is all kids. So if you put it in perspective, the winter has hit the coast, has hit the country. There's been close to 25 deaths of kids that suffered from hypothermia. Where does it leave us? As human beings, have we understood the impact? At the moment, there's been so many problems in the country over and above hunger. If you look at the people that are suffering from malnutrition, it's becoming a huge problem just on a malnutrition perspective. It's becoming a problem on a health perspective. People are losing their sanity with the fact that they've lost families, they've lost lives, they've lost people, they've lost their homes. Then you put in context with that, people are now suffering from medical problems. People are suffering more and above that. We're suffering from no ablutions. There's no toilets. There's no hygiene. How does this community come alive? How do we make a difference? If people can just understand that deep in their hearts, to say, even if it's 1 rand or whatever the amount you want to give, understand you are making an impact in people's lives. And this is the message we want to say to you. It is the month of giving. It's the month of Ramadan. We have tirelessly worked with our well-wishers, with our families, friends, networks, and people around the globe and nationally in South Africa that have supported us throughout the 12 months and 18 months over and above Ramadan. And alhamdulillah, Ramadan has its benefits. And today the benefit is give. Give to those that are needy. Give to us, that will then make this possible to translate your zakat directly by means of watching our social media to exactly know that your zakat has been dispensed in the month of Ramadan. It's also very important for people to understand that we do not use your zakat to do this work, meaning our expenses. We are self-funded, and that alone, alhamdulillah, gives you 1:1. Your 1 rand is equal to your 1 rand zakat. And that's what we can tell you. And in the communities in those countries, we do understand the cost of product is much higher. So in South Africa, we are looking at hampers locally, close to 500 rand. And that would be a sufficient hamper to last a family of 4 for a period of 2 to 3 weeks. And we are not looking at cheaper hampers purely because we want to have sustainability in what we do. We'd like to do it less often, but do it correctly, as opposed to doing 125 times or 5 times in a month. And that's exactly the method and methodology the foundation has taken from a strategy point of view. And we have a lot of people giving us locally. And as I said, we cover Mitchell's Plain in the Cape. We're looking at the South Coast in South Africa, in Durban. We're looking at KwaMashu. We're looking at Lenasia South, and there are many other areas where people have asked us for help. And by doing locally, we can then attract a Section 1880 certificate for all our local donors, which will give them some SARS reprieve as well. I think that's where, sorry, one second. Sorry, sister. Then from a South African perspective, that is where to leave us. And then if you go through to the Gaza perspective, the cost is about 1,200 Rand, which is between $50 to $65. And the reason that is because we go ourselves into the wholesale market with the manufacturers, and some of the manufacturers buy the product, pack the product, load the product, and then receive the products into the areas of Syria and Gaza. And that cost us between $50 to $65. And we are targeting at the moment, inshallah, with the help of the communities, to do close to 3,000 hamper boxes, if possible, inshallah, this Ramadan. And we're hoping to target 12 to 15,000 people that we hope to touch, inshallah, in the coming weeks. So, Sister Nazia, we've had many initiatives from local young entrepreneurs that have joined the foundation by means of volunteer work. So we have some people out of Cape Town that, went on a baking scheme, and they sold whatever they could sell, and they've sold it in view of the raising funds for Palestine. We have masjids that have given us collections to say some of our contributions go through to the foundation. We have well wishes from companies, independent people, just working class people that have said, Uncle Shamshudeen, here's some zakat from our side, or lillah, and non-Muslims have contributed to the foundation far and wide across communities where sometimes we don't even know where this money is coming from. So we are, we're looking at this current situation where we're going into Aqsa, where we will travel into Bethlehem and into, as I mentioned, into Hebron, close to the West Bank, where we, well, not that close, but in the region there, where we're not at risk, but we will then obviously, from our learnings last year, go back and try and serve those communities of our local Palestinians in so-called Jerusalem, and then obviously embark into Syria. And we can all we can do is appeal, with our hands in bucket formats, to say, please support the foundation for us to make this journey a successful one, so we can then become more soulful in what we do in terms of the approach to those people. Because really, to get a 3-year-old kid to pull your trouser and tag when he's all shriveled up, he's got snot running down his nose, tears running down his eyes, he hasn't had a bath in I don't know how many months, and you give him a lollipop, or you give him a pen and a pencil and a coloring book, and you say, Ya Allah, is this the reality of where we've come? You've got people queuing up, thousands of people in queues just for a box of food. You've got old people that, when I went on the last trip, I walked into a scenario where we had an elderly couple, and the elderly couple said to us that we went to visit the tent, and when we entered the tent, they're telling us, the old man started to tear, and I said to him, like, why are you tearing? He said, this morning, I got up and I prayed my tahajjud, and I asked Almighty for help, and you walked through the tent. Now, what can be more motivating for people to understand that they have so much of hope? With all the duress and all the genocides, they still have hope and iman that they will rise as the next nation. And all we can ask for is for people to support us to take this across the line this Ramadan, inshallah.
Ameen. Shamshudeen, thank you so much for joining us once again on Prime Live, as well as sharing the wonderful initiatives and work that you do with Hope for You Foundation. Thank you for joining us.
Jazakallah.
Viewers at home, that was Shamshudeen from Hope for You Foundation. I hope you are feeling as motivated and inspired as I am to help and continue on the amazing work that Hope for You Foundation are doing within South Africa and beyond our borders as well. Please do reach out to them on their social media platforms to contribute in any way that you can. Like Shamshudeen said, it doesn't matter the amount or the quantity of how much you are giving, but contribute in any way that you can. But on that note, viewers at home, it is time for us to head over to an ad break, and we'll come right back.